Spoilers for Jujutsu Kaisen. In Jujutsu Kaisen's gritty horror-filled world, Fumihiko Takaba stands alone as the comedic one. In Takaba being this comedic relief for the serious and deadly world of JJK, it is in my opinion that Takaba was written not only as the new comedic relief, but as the perfect allegory for comedy. Takaba was used in JJK to fill the main comedic void left by the once innocently minded Yuji Itadori, someone who fell to the hate and pain of their world. Takaba becomes someone who is able to shape the story while never being able to control it. He was given the ability of influence but is incapable of making real change. Takaba was so advanced at his abilities, he was able to distract the author Gege Akutami from the larger story at hand for multiple chapters instead of focusing on the bigger problems like Sukuna or Hikari versus Urarame. I remember waiting months for the singular update of how it was going. I needed to know if Hikari had his J's creased or not, or frozen, what happened. We never got that. We only got it at like the very end. But for Takaba to be the main source of comedy in these dark times of JJK, it was only possible when Yuji first fell out of being the main comic relief because he used to be the happy main character, and for someone like Gojo to no longer be making jokes or fun of the whole situation, while also characters throughout the story taking on the serious burden of having to deal with the problem of Sukuna. This is where someone like Takaba, whose whole story is being the funny person, takes center stage. Now, people can make offhanded jokes, but that's just singular comic relief. Takaba, his whole, not only just ability, but life was about being the funny one. So anytime that you see him, he is trying to be funny. He is trying to do something that makes himself laugh. The first way, in the Cullen games, is where Takaba makes his first appearance. He is given his comedian ability, which we'll get into more later, essentially means he is able to shape and reality warp everything, only if he finds it funny. If the funny person finds it funny, he sticks to the strict code of if it's funny or not. He is able to reshape everything. Extremely strong ability, and if it is funny, he's able to do it. What that has left him with is stall tactics, which is perfectly fine. It's not going against his ability to damage someone. This is basically saying if he's introduced in the games that is all about harming and maiming other contestants, it is quite funny that he has abilities that are stronger than the strongest in the series, but he is only able to stall. So he's not able to gain any points. He's not able to move on. Takaba, actually, if anything, he would be more apt to change the rules of the Cullen games just by thinking it would be funny to change the rules of the Cullen game than he is more likely to hurt or harm someone within the game. But throughout the Cullen games, when he is shown, is attempting to make some sort of joke, which this is one of the main parts of Takaba. He is funny to himself, not really to anyone else. So as a comic relief, he's more of someone to laugh at than with, and you never really are laughing at something that he finds not only funny, but he finds dumb or idiotic or a bad idea. You don't even need to do that. So the audience can get in with it and laugh with Takaba. No, it's only we laugh at Takaba. So the entire time through the Cullen games, which is this gritty environment, Takaba is continuously shown as just being the funny one that you laugh at. So as a comic relief, he takes center stage because there's no one else really to laugh at besides the ones that lose the Cullen games by, of course, the way that you lose the Cullen games, which is harder to laugh at but not impossible. Whereas Takaba, since he does not lose the Cullen games, he is able to bring a lighter light within the dark story. That being, laugh at me. Which no one else can take that role, so he becomes this main source of comedy because that story at the time did not need a lot of comedy. It just needed steps forward. Now, the powers of Takaba, in short, is anything. Anything he wants to do, he can do it as long as it's funny to him. That's basically all it is. Now, in his mind, hurting people is not funny. So we take that off of what he can do. Since that's not funny, he can do everything else, which means immediately he's the strongest character within the story. That's why it becomes instantly funny that he doesn't want to do anything that's actually helpful. He just wants to do all the stuff that he would find funny. You know, making big eyes on his... making his eyes bigger is what I should say. That's funnier to him than him, I don't know, wishing a character isn't here. Like, oh, wouldn't that be funny if the guy just wasn't there? Pop, gone. No, Takaba's not going to do that. It's just funnier for him. So his whole function within the story is to never make real change. He may participate and help other people make real change by specifically doing something like take the attention away. Takaba's whole function within the Shinjuku Showdown arc was to distract Kenjaku. Not to harm him, them, but to take enough of his attention away to allow Yuta to actually clutch up and make the real difference. He has all of this power, all the ability to reality warp everything within this story. And what he's most useful for, with all of that ability, with the certain limitations that's been set up by himself, is to just allow other people to take center stage. He is the main comic relief, the main center stage. Finally, the comedian gets everyone to be looking at him. He could do stuff that makes everyone find him actually funny, but no. Takaba has actually funny enough, no talent for comedy. His ability completely revolves around comedy, and he can only get the attention of people. Like a little gnat flying around them. That's basically what Takaba is. It's the only thing he really can do. But his ability to distract is at such a high level that he was able to distract Gege Akutami for 4 full chapters. The main ability of Takaba is just to distract, right? And he also was able to transcend pages, able to distract Gege Akutami for 4 chapters during the Sukuna raid. I mean, the most important time of JJK, you have Takaba stealing the show just to, again, distract everybody. He distracted Gege Akutami for 4 chapters, from chapter 239 to chapter 243. The fight was between him and Kenjaku was over the top, hilarious, but it still only accomplished one thing, and that was distracting Kenjaku, with also having the other effect of distracting the reader, perfectly okay, but then distracting the mangaka. This distraction was also distracting Kenjaku, which then leads to Yuta, of course, stealing the show. Perfect, because there was almost 0 show to steal. But also, it took away from more important fights. I mean, Kenjaku was very important within the story. There will be further future moments of talking about Kenjaku. But what was definitely more important was seeing who was going to win out of Hikari and Uraume. Now, in the end, hindsight being what it is also understandable that because they were going to stalemate, there is no reason to talk about it because there's nothing going to be going on. But at the same time, at this point, Hikari was very, very hyped up to be someone that you need to watch, because he had epic moments. He had a great moment against Yuji. He had epic moments against Hajime, right? He had everything leading up to just having hype around him. Like, how many times can Hikari get lucky? Apparently every single time. And Uraume, someone who basically has not lost in the story and has never taken an L within the story. And who's going to win out of these two? And it's a stalemate. An update would have been even cooler than basically the whole joking 4 chapters. It was a joke of 4 chapters. But that is the whole point of someone like Takaba, is to just be this forced comic relief. It works into everything. He's a comedian that has the ability to shape reality, and all he wanted was just more screen time. That's what I'm trying to get at, and I think that, first off, of course, Takaba is a gag character and isn't supposed to be taken seriously at all. But in all honesty, isn't it funnier if we do take Takaba seriously? If Takaba is being forced to fight in the Sukuna War, in the Cullen games, is it not funnier that this funny guy who is able to reality warp is only used for funny bits that becomes hysterical, because with all the death and destruction, we have someone who's able to change everything within an instant, and he just can't do it? Is it not funnier to then go, this guy is supposed to be basically a savior? It's funnier to me to look at Takaba as a savior, the one that's going to save the whole story, wish away Sukuna, all this, and then Takaba just does nothing. That is funnier to me, right? Takaba's abilities are a perfect power cap. The maximum amount that Takaba is able to do is completely structured by the narrative, but also by Takaba in his own limitations. 1, the comedian ability is only able to work if he finds it funny, and Takaba has a horrible sense of humor, which is not good. And 2, he doesn't want to harm anyone. So as I said before, it basically becomes a perfect distraction. There's nothing that can be progressed with Takaba. That is the perfect allegory for comedy. It doesn't accomplish anything. It basically makes a couple laughs happen. You're able to forget about what's going on. That's the perfect example of it. Takaba, in everything. His power is everything. It is perfect for him, because nothing happens. But also, within the narrative, it's very funny to know that he could have found it funny to wish Sukuna away, to resurrect more people, to bring people. That would have been funnier. That would have been better for everyone. But it's funny to think that he didn't think it's funny. That he couldn't have made a joke. That he couldn't have made something happen. Thanks, Takaba. Thanks, because I think that you're the reason that Choso is dead. I blame you.